All right, welcome to the show, y'all. Hope everybody out there is having an awesome day. In a little bit here, Trump was giving an interview, and he accidentally admitted to a felony on live TV. But, you know, it's okay. No need to worry, because the law doesn't mean anything anymore. And so there will be zero consequences as a direct result of that. So we'll talk about that. We also have Talarico derangement syndrome is completely and utterly out of control. And everything that they're using to try to take down Talarico is backfiring big time. So we'll dive into that. We also have the Diet MAGA Democrats are now officially declaring war on Abdul el-Sayed, but also on Democratic Socialists of America because of the big winning streak that they've been on. So the corporate wing of the Democratic Party is firing back. And then also later on, we have Oliver Larkin, the DSA candidate running in Florida's 25th district. He goes on Fox News. And this is the same guy, by the way, who went on Fox News and called Trump a pedophile like last week and made it so that the host sort of panicked and canceled the interview early. But we have that same guy, Oliver Larkin, goes on Fox News again and just fillets the host without breaking a sweat. It was a glorious thing to see. So we'll talk about that as well. So you guys know the deal, man. Everybody do me a big favor. Subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon. That helps out big time and costs you nothing at all. You can also, of course, support the show on Patreon. Remember, this is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser. I've never done an ad read. I never will. You have my word on that. But you guys have kept this show going $1 a month at a time, or $2 a month at a time, or $5 if you want to go crazy. And I deeply, deeply appreciate it. You can also sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. We're going to have Oliver Larkin on the show this week, and I'm really looking forward to that. So to see that whole interview, sign up on Substack for Crystal Kyle and Friends. And also, of course, go sub to Corin's World and come hang out with us live on Monday nights. You do not want to miss it. It's a hell of a lot of fun. Okay, now let's go ahead and jump right in. So, Mehdi Hasan, over on his Zeteo outlet, which, by the way, everybody go subscribe to Zeteo. They're doing phenomenal work. He spoke to the Trump's former White House lawyer, a guy by the name of Ty Cobb, not to be confused with the baseball player, okay? And he asked this guy, so what happens in the midterms if Democrats win and this new attorney general that was just put in place by Trump, Todd Blanche, will he attempt to discredit the midterms, okay? And his answer is to the point, and it is quite bone-chilling. So here's what Trump's ex-lawyer says. Listen.
If the midterms don't go Trump's way this fall, is there any world in which Todd Blanche stands up to Trump if he's asked to find some fake evidence of voter fraud, or are we screwed now?
We're screwed.
Great.
Yeah, it's not good, bro. It is not good. I mean, we've gone into detail when it comes to Trump's various attempts to steal the election, the different things that he has cooking. So, for example, one of the things is they're floating sending the National Guard or ICE to seize ballots on Election Day. That is terrifying. As you all know, they basically did some trial runs where they seized ballots in Georgia and Arizona. And so right off the rip here, it should be alarm bells nonstop in your head, because this is not normal stuff. No other president would do shit like this. Never mind Trump's executive order where he tried to turn voting machines over to the feds, even though the states, they control the elections, but he tried to federalize the elections by forcing them to turn over the voting machines. He tried to ban mail-in voting, both through the Save America Act, but also through executive order as well. He tried to steal voter roll data and do ballot purges and ballot spoiling. And then, of course, as you all know, he's been on a crusade to try to get Maduro to say that he stole the election for Biden. And he's, at different times, Trump has said Iran stole the election or interfered in the election in 2020. China interfered in the election in 2020. I mean, the list of ways that he's got some shit cooking to try to interfere or put a thumb on the scale for the midterm elections, it is astonishing and desperate, but also terrifying, because there's nothing I would put by these people. And now the new thing that just happened is Bill Cuxity. he decided to cave and vote for Todd Blanche for Attorney General. John Cornyn also decided to cave, or Cucknin, I guess we'll call him. He also decided to cave and vote for Todd Blanche for Attorney General. And this guy, Todd Blanche, people don't realize how extreme this guy is and just how much of a loyalist, sycophant bitch this guy is. This guy is the guy who went after Letitia James, who went after James Comey multiple times, who went after the Southern Poverty Law Center, even though these people did nothing wrong. He's the one who's doing Trump's political persecutions. He led the Epstein cover-up and gave Ghislaine Maxwell a sweetheart deal that landed her in a resort that's a fake prison. Okay? He's the guy who facilitated that. Blanche was the guy who facilitated the $1.776 billion January 6th terrorist slush fund. He's the guy that was behind that. He purged the prosecutors and FBI officials who weren't completely cucked to Trump, okay? He defended all of the January 6ers, not just the ones, they got caught up in some shit, they walked around the Capitol, but nothing happened. No, he was there defending the people who assaulted officers. Okay, he was protecting crypto criminals while profiting off of cryptocurrency. He's corrupt, and he's also a total Trump sycophant and loyalist. And now he's the Attorney General of the United States of America. Okay, this is absurd. And then, so the question is, like, well, what happens if Trump gives the order of this guy to try to steal the midterms, and Trump's former lawyer goes, we're screwed? In other words, Blanche is definitely going to do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So this is where we are now in this country, bro. This is where we are now in this country. Is you have Trump's former lawyers willing to come out and tell the truth and say this new group of people around him, they're all enablers. They're all loyalists. They're all sycophants. And as you all know, Trump is impulsive and Trump is a spoiled brat. And so he orders, like, he wants something to happen a certain way and he orders it to happen. And if you don't make it happen, you're out of that bitch. And you're on your own. And so that's why he's surrounded by yes men. And in the first term, as I've told you, when Trump would overreach or go too far, he would have somebody around him to set him straight, right? When he wanted to shoot the George Floyd protesters in the leg, when he wanted to invoke the Insurrection Act, you had the generals go, we're not doing that. We don't deploy the U.S. military in our own streets. That's not a thing that's going to happen. That's not a thing that you're going to do. When he tried to do tariffs in his first term, you had Gary Cohn was like, we're not doing that because here's how that's going to fuck the economy up. And so he would try to do some crazy ass shit and they would keep the train on the tracks to one extent or another. I'm not trying to make it seem like it was peaches and rainbows in his first term, but relative to what he is now, it was definitely less insane. But now everybody around him is just, they view their job to coddle his nuts and suck his little mushroom dick. They view their job as that. And here we are as a direct result of it, where the Attorney General, Trump's former lawyer is fully expecting Trump's new Attorney General to help try to steal the midterms or 2028. So just prepare yourself because there are no brakes in this fucking car and we're going 100 miles an hour right at a brick wall.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
We're at the point now where Trump is so high on his own supply that he feels like there's nothing he can't get away with. It's also the case, I mean, Trump has said this in a rally speech he gave one time. He's like, I thought I'd experience more pushback from the Democrats. I forget which thing he was talking about that, he did, that he was surprised he got away with it. But he said, I was expecting more of a fight. So in other words, he's like, bro, there are no limits to my power. That's another thing he said in an interview. There's no limits to my power. He sat down with Punchbowl, and this shit right here is absolutely fucking crazy, dog, because he is going to casually admit to a major campaign finance felony in real time. Listen to this. Here we go.
Do you, MAGA Inc., the super PAC that your allies control, has a lot of money and a lot of people?
Not my allies. I control it.
Okay. You and your allies.
$800 million.
Are you going to spend it?
It's funny. Nobody ever, of course, I'm going to do.
You're going to spend it in the midterms.
I could spend it on pretty much anything I want. I'm going to spend it I'm going to help Republicans.
That is wildly illegal. Don't take my word for it. You go look it up yourself. It is completely and utterly illegal for the president to control this super PAC. Are you insane? He said, quote, not my allies. So the guy, the questioner's trying to help him. He says, MAGA Inc., the super PAC that your allies control. That's him trying to help him, right? And he goes, not my allies. I control $800 million. I can spend it on anything I want. I have a busy schedule. I won. I'm not campaigning. A lot of people are angry at Republicans. They're not angry at me. We're going to get to that point in a second because I got a lot to say about that too. But he just casually admits to a massive campaign finance violation, a total felony. He's not supposed to be the one that's allowed to control that money and dictate where it goes. It's a super PAC. Like, okay, I know campaign finance law is annoying and there's different elements to it and like how much you could spend on a campaign versus how much a PAC can spend, which is technically separate, versus how much like interest groups can spend. It's all different, right? But there's been a march towards very few rules and regulations around our campaign finance. Well, one of those rules that still remains is you cannot directly control the PAC. And here he is, he announces it. And guess what? Nothing's going to fucking happen as a result of it. There's going to be absolutely nothing that happens. There's going to be no investigations. There's going to be no further talk about this. If a Democratic candidate or a sitting Democratic president came out and said, I control $800 million in a PAC, before the end of the day, you would have everybody of the opposing party and half of the same party say, sorry, bro, this is unacceptable. You just admitted to a federal crime in a live interview. It's like, what does he have to do? What more would he have to do? What more would he have to do in order for there to be any consequences? I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, what the fuck, man? I mean, I'm seriously at the point where I believe if he nuked Greenland or Panama or Iran, I really think that give it a week and the entire Republican establishment would be defending it. And the Democrats would largely shut the fuck up about it. And like it would be just right back to standard operating procedure. And they would say, oh, yeah, we can't really impeach him because we don't have the numbers. They would still say shit like that. They would say shit like that if he fucking nuked somebody. Because here he is saying, I mean, this is the classic, I can shoot somebody on 5th Street and not lose any supporters. Here he's going, I control $800 million in a super PAC, which is illegal for me to control, but I control it. And nobody's going to say anything and nobody's going to do anything. And here we are.
And so when you say I don't care.
No, I didn't say that. I said some people say that.
Yeah, look, I mean, I could do a lot easier. I didn't have to be away in Nevada yesterday. I didn't have to be in Los Angeles yesterday making speeches. I didn't have to be supporting all the people. I have a lot of,
Well, they would prefer that you weren't doing that because you have a 36% approval rating and now you are dragging down the rest of the Republican Party. Up to this point, it was viewed as the opposite. That like Trump is the star in the Republican Party. He drags up all the Republicans. Now the poll shows the opposite. In fact, CNN just did a segment on this where he's the problem. His name drags people down now.
Busy schedule. I said to somebody, wait a minute, you don't understand. I won. I'm not campaigning. Now, that's the other thing. I get a tremendous vote. I have records in many of the states, the most votes ever in Texas and Florida and many, many states, Alabama. You can go through them, many, many states. The most votes ever. The question is, and they're asking this question, and I've had some great polls recently, real polls, but they're great polls. If I don't run, will those people go out and vote? And that's the one thing I can't tell. I'm going to ask them to, but I'm just watching guys like you and you're very talented people. The question is, will they vote? Because a lot of them are very angry at Republicans, to be honest with you. They're
Why is
angry
that?
I don't know. I mean, they're angry at Republicans, but they're not angry at me.
That's an interesting thing. Why?
I swear to God, he really reminds me of like the kid who went over to the cookie jar, took the top off, took a chocolate chip cookie out, started eating it. The fucking chocolate's all over his lips. He's got crumbs on the floor, schmutz on his hand. And then mom's like, now, little Timmy, did you eat the cookie? No, Mama, I didn't eat the cookie. Now, Timmy, why are you standing right by the cookie jar with the top off and stuff on your hand and chocolate on your mouth? And why do I still see you chewing, Timmy? No, Mama, I didn't eat the cookie, I swear. Like, he reminds me of that. The voters are very mad. They're mad at Republicans, but they're not mad at me. Like, come on, man. Look, I know he's a pathological liar and a malignant narcissist, but you'd have to imagine a lie like that is so extreme that even he knows that's bullshit, right? Like, even he knows that's bullshit. He has to know that that's bullshit. His average approval is 36%. His average approval. His low is 30%, and we're definitely about to be hit with a 20 banger at some point in the near future, okay? Bro, what are we talking about, dog? What are we doing? Are you kidding me? They're really mad at Republicans, but they're not mad at me. But you know what? In a weird roundabout way, this is a good thing, because if this is what he's thinking about, maybe he's giving himself an out where if he loses the midterms and he can't rig it, he can't get away with that, that his cope is like, well, I wasn't on the ballot, so it's not my fault. Like, it's all their fault. It's these Republicans weren't as interesting as me. They weren't as, like, dynamic as me or charismatic as me or likable as me. So in a weird way, it's like psychologically preparing himself to acknowledge, like, okay, yeah, Republicans, we got blown out in the midterms, but it's definitely not my fault. It's just the fault of all the other Republican candidates. So in a weird way, there's like a weird silver lining here. Now, it's very possible he says this, and they still try to steal the midterms, and, you know, because there's many indicators that they will do that. However, it's nice to know the psychological process is already kicking into gear where his cope is, they're not mad at me. Really? They're not mad at you? Hey, here's a question. Who's the guy who did the Epstein files cover-up? Who's the guy who refused to arrest a single Epstein pedophile? Who's the guy who was listed in the Epstein files over 1 million times? That would be you. Who's the guy who said, I don't care about Americans' financial situation at all? That would be you. Who's the guy who said, we can't afford daycare, we can't afford Medicare and Medicaid because we got a war to fight? That would be you. Okay? Who's the guy who oversaw the massive increase in grocery prices and gas prices? Who's the guy whose big bullshit bill kicked 18 million people off their Medicaid and is going to close up to 742 rural hospitals? Who's the guy? That would be you. Okay? So he can cope, he can seethe, he can whine, bitch, and moan and try to obfuscate and deflect and blame others. But at the end of the day, I think even he's got to know when his head hits that pillow at night, bro. You're barbecue chicken, son.
I mean, they're angry at Republicans, but they're not angry at me.
That's an interesting thing. Why?
They're not angry at me, but they are angry at Republicans.
He thinks if I just repeat it enough, it'll become true. They're not angry at me. I said they're not angry at me, but they are angry at Republicans, but they're not mad at me.
Everyone's always angry.
And there are some areas that are basically Democrat, but they're Trump, like Pennsylvania. I win Pennsylvania easily. I win other places easily. Look, I won Michigan easily. I did well with Michigan. Did well with almost everything, to be honest. I did well with everything.
But it's a good point, Mike.
Now
I can't imagine. Could you imagine being an 80-year-old man and, like, you engage in this much self-suck-off? I can't imagine gargling my own nuts so aggressively at the age of 80. It's supposed to be when you hit a certain age, you no longer really give a shit what people think about you. You no longer really give a shit. You're not like super sensitive like this. But this guy, as he gets older, it's like he gets more sensitive. He gets more like fucking, you know, up his own ass. And we've always said this, but the reason why he toots his own horn is because nobody else is going to do it, especially when his ass is gone. Oh, my days. Oh, my word. You're about to hear fireworks in this bitch when he's gone. You're about to hear champagne popping all over the place. I'm about to smoke a big-ass Cuban cigar to the face. Oh, my days. Are you kidding me?
Question is,
Rogers lost when you were on the ballot.
Yeah.
And now he's up again.
Well, he lost when I'm on the ballot, and I won big in Michigan. But I happen to think he won.
Okay, well, that's...
Oh, isn't that convenient? Right, isn't that convenient? He did the same shit with the fucking the LA mayor's race. What's his face? I'm even blanking on his name now, but the celebrity douchebag who's like a Republican, Trump is convinced, that guy actually won. Meanwhile, it's literally a blue wave year in a city that's a massively blue city. And they go, no, the Republican won. Like, no, he actually didn't. And you guys are a bunch of fucking idiots. Okay. But there we go, man. I mean, just admitting to crimes, coping and seething about his plummeting popularity. Man, I just want this nightmare to end. I really do. I don't want this to continue. He is a thoroughly and severely broken man. And the consequences of that have been atrocious. And I feel like they're only going to get worse and more taxing as we move on here.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So over on Fox News, they got the memo from their bosses, namely Trump and MAGA, and they're now going out there. It is the lie fest of all lie fests, okay? They are going out there, and their marching orders are, hey, pretend the economy is awesome, Okay? Pretend the economy is great. And so they're doing what they're told. And every segment is more desperate than the last, but here they are coping and whining and bitching and moaning and seething over the fact that everybody is furious and the economy sucks, but they're going to say, oh, you guys just, you haven't analyzed the data properly. And this is, remember they did this under Biden where they said, oh, it's a vibe session. It's not a recession, it's a vibe session. The numbers are actually great and people are actually doing great, but they're refusing to acknowledge that. Really? All right, so here's Maria Bartiromo. Here we go.
So, Maria, let me pick up on this past jobs report quickly and get your assessment on the fact that, President Trump is constantly talking about record markets, you mentioned there, rising wages, and what we are still seeing, fewer layoffs, but yet this week already we're going to be hearing from Democrats about how horrible the economy is. So
yeah, but that's just propaganda. I mean, look, things are going well, and I think we all feel it, right, Griff? I mean, look at where we are right now. You've got job creation, you've got economic growth, you've got $18 trillion of new investment. The president.
Oh my God. They're literally repeating his obviously fake numbers of they're giving. I swear, at some point he was like $30 trillion of investment. Depends on his mood. He'll do like 20 trillion, 30 trillion, 18 trillion. Literally every one of those numbers is complete and utter horse shit. In fact, we have manufacturing jobs have fucking imploded. We've lost manufacturing jobs. In his first term, I believe we lost about 200,000 manufacturing jobs. In his second term so far, it's like 75,000 down. But that doesn't even include the jobs we were supposed to get with Biden's new laws that he passed, which were going to increase manufacturing jobs over 700,000. And Trump just axed them bitches on day one. Right? So really, we've lost like over 700,000 manufacturing jobs. Then you have the fucking trade war and the tariff bullshit. Nobody's building factories here. Nobody can afford shit anymore. Then, of course, you have inflation out of control. You have gas prices up, grocery prices up. And you're parroting the fakest talking points of all time. I mean, this is straight Pravda shit. This is straight $18 trillion. Like, oh my God, bro. Let's keep it real. The only thing these people can point to is that the market is up. But that's all bullshit. The market is not an indicator of how your average American is doing. It's how like the top 1% or 1% of 1% is doing. Everybody knows that at this late date. 80 to 90% of the country is already in a recession. And they're like, no, everything is great because a mega CEO on Wall Street told me that was the case. Well, they live in a different fucking planet, bro. Everybody knows that.
I mean, look at where we are right now. You've got job creation. You've got economic growth. You've got $18 trillion of new investment. The president's main priority has been to put America first and get the supply chains back to America so that we're not reliant on, Asia for semiconductor chips, which we need for defense or,
Okay, that is such a disgusting lie because that's what Biden did and Trump killed it. The CHIPS Act was, let's build the computer chips here and let's, get it away from Taiwan because if China decides to invade Taiwan and cut off our chips, that would be like, we'd be screwed. Electronics would be toasted, be cooked, right? So Biden did that. Trump came in and on day one, he ripped that shit up. So she flipped the truth on its head. I honestly don't know how we can continue to run a country when half the political spectrum are fully postmodernist. Like, they don't believe in facts. They don't believe in objectivity. They don't believe in empiricism. They don't believe in science. They don't believe in telling you the truth. They're just openly lying about everything. I don't know how we can continue to have a country like this. I don't get it. Because, every single thing she said in this segment is the exact opposite of what the truth is. And people, I don't know if people realize that. Certainly the 82-year-olds who are eating their Jell-O and barely sentient, who are drooling all over themselves in the nursing homes, they don't get it.
For semiconductor chips, which we need for defense, or China for pharmaceutical components. So that in and of itself is such a positive for the economy and for growth. So really, everyone's going to say what they want to say in a campaign season, and I expect the campaign season is ramping up right now. But when you actually look at what's going on, things feel pretty good. I've spoken with a number of CEOs who tell me that.
Oh no! She literally did the thing I just said. Things are going really well. I spoke to a number of CEOs, and they're doing great.
Business is up strongly, and it has to do partly with the big beautiful bill.
So
okay, I mean, look.
No motherfucking shot. The big beautiful bill. Okay, let me remind everybody what's in the big beautiful bill. The big bullshit bill, as we call it. First of all, it adds $4 trillion to the debt and the deficit. What happened, Maria? I thought all of you conservative Republicans were against adding to the debt and the deficit. Spare me. You're full of shit. Trump exploded that thing and you don't care at all. It also cut taxes for the rich and raised taxes on lower and middle class people. It also cut Medicaid $800 billion and kicked 17 million people off health care and raised out-of-pocket costs and reduced coverage for poor people and disabled people. Love that. It kicked 4.7 million people off the food stamp program. It cut free school lunches. It kicked millions off of Obamacare subsidies. It also cut Medicare. It killed wind and solar projects. It increased pollution. It increased oil and gas drilling on public lands. It defunded Planned Parenthood. It repealed a tax on gun silencers. It massively increased ICE Gestapo thug funding. It increased energy prices in every single state, and it sent billions of dollars to the bullshit slush fund, the Epstein-class slush fund known as the Golden Dome, which is another scam that this country is running on us to rob taxpayers and give that money to the rich. Okay? That's what that bill did. Fucking spare me with your, oh, it's actually been great for people.
All those expensing options. Yes.
So why do no worries. So why do you, I hear you, and that's all great news, and that's what Americans need to hear. But then what do you think is leading to the disconnect in maybe some voters and Americans not feeling that way? So why is that, do you think?
I think it's messaging. I really do. I mean, the Republicans need to do a better job in telling their story, in communicating what the big, beautiful bill has done for earnings.
Oh my God, bro. Oh my word. This is so crazy. Yeah, bro. Just like debate bro them into saying their life is doing good, even though they objectively feel like it's not, because it's not. What are we going to do with these people? All right, but it actually gets worse. Ready? Because here's another one. Fox host rages at Gen Z for buying, quote, little treats. Excuse you? I'm not kidding. Here we go.
Most say they regularly buy themselves little treats, with spending on jewelry, beauty, and clothing all rising, even as 42% live paycheck to paycheck and struggle with spending hangovers. Jackie, this story, I thought of you when I saw this. You know, little treats, 92% of them are spending on that. You tell me that they're smarter than boomers, but I'm not buying.
Fox News is like tailor-made in a lab to turn everybody under the age of 50 into a flaming leftist. Nearly half of them are living paycheck to paycheck, but they still buy themselves little treats. Can you believe they went to the local CVS and spent $6.23 on makeup? How disgusting. They should stop buying that. This reminds me of, what was it, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? You know, millennials should stop buying avocado toast because that's why they're broke. Okay? Like, let me explain something to you, man. Every other developed country has a universal healthcare system. We don't. Okay? Many developed countries have free college. We don't. Many developed countries have almost like very widespread union membership. We don't. That would raise wages. We haven't raised the minimum wage since the motherfucking George W. Bush era. Okay? We are cooked. We are barbecued in this country. People are not given a shot at a decent life. All the jobs have been fucking outsourced. There's no loyalty in the job market anymore. You can't get a job at one place and stay there for your entire time and then get a pension at the end, and you can't live off one income. You need two people working for a household. We've been squeezed 1,000 ways to Sunday. And here they are going, did you buy yourself a little treat? How dare you? How ridiculous. You're the problem here. They're chastising and berating Gen Z for buying themselves little treats. They have nothing to say about Elon Musk scamming his way to $1 trillion, trillion with a T. They have nothing to say about him stealing $38 billion from American taxpayers to make a bunch of rockets explode instantly. They have nothing to say about his vaporware and his fraud and his Nazi posting, as again, he was worth $1 trillion with a T. How about we motherfucking tax his ass and give it to Gen Z? How about we tax his ass and give everybody healthcare and education? Are you fucking kidding me? Good luck. Good luck to Fox, man. Their disconnection from reality has gotten worse and worse. They're approaching Trump-level disconnection from reality. And there's consequences to that. And those consequences are going to be absolutely dire.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So Talarico derangement syndrome has completely and utterly spiraled out of control in this country. The right cannot help themselves. They are imploding and collapsing over this. So the race in Texas is really not looking good for Paxton, bro. Let me tell you. So Beto O'Rourke came close to beating Ted Cruz years ago in Texas for the U.S. Senate. But every single poll leading into that race had Ted Cruz winning, and winning comfortably in most of them, right? In the last, 5 polls coming out of Texas, Paxton is losing to Talarico. Remember, Texas, okay? The Republicans are getting desperate. They are panicking, and they're now releasing some of the most unhinged ads I think I've ever seen. So the American Principles Project that defends America's families, right? That's what they say. This is an ad that they're running against James Talarico, who they say is too radical for Texas. Here we go.
1, 2, 3.
She dreams of growing up, falling in love, becoming a mother.
4, 5, 6.
Keep counting.
7.
The trans industry preys on confused children.
The trans industry? The industry. Oh, my days.
Irreversible puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, sex change surgeries. This November, stop them before it's too late.
By the way, not that we even need to inject facts into this conversation, but they don't even do surgeries on kids, bro. That's not a thing that happens. That is not a thing that happens. So as this person points out, ain't no fucking way they did the LBJ anti-Goldwater nuclear war ad, but remade it as an anti-trans ad. I'm dead. Can you imagine the level of desperation they sunk to in order to make this? By the way, it's like this is the strategy they've been trying, and they've been failing miserably. The whole, we call him James Talarico. That failed miserably, bro. That shit is not landing. He didn't lose a single vote because of that dumb nonsense. They try to hit him with well, he had once had a vegan campaign. He says we should, in the long term, slowly transition off of fossil fuels because of climate change to get to green and renewable technology. It's what are these? The Republicans are finding it so hard in this election cycle in particular because they've ruined everything and they believe in nothing. And in that scenario, what are you going to do? What are you going to say? What are you going to run on? You got nothing. You got nothing. Okay, so embarrassing, humiliating, pathetic ad. Here's another one for you. Fox News resurfaced 2023 interview shows Democratic Senate candidate James Talarico recalling how his church housed an undocumented mother and son facing ICE deportation. Quote, Christianity is just another word for causing trouble, he said. He also stated, justice is just love out in public. Then outlined his church's history of LGBTQ activism in the 1990s, admitting an atheist in the 2000s and housing an undocumented family in the 2010s. Quote, that was the tradition that I was brought up in. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not kidding when I say that the accusation here is, the scandal here is, a Christian being a good person. He's used his Christianity to be good to people, to help the poor and the sick and the downtrodden, right? If you're housing an undocumented mother and a son facing ICE deportation, people who are not criminals, they've done nothing wrong, yeah, to protect them is the right thing to do. To protect them is what Jesus would do. You know how Christians always say, what would Jesus do? This is what fucking Jesus would do. This is exactly what he would do. Okay? Outlining his church supporting LGBTQ people. Yes, the church would support minorities who are under assault. That's what they would do. Being, taking in an atheist and housing an undocumented family. It is literally just scandal. Good person does good thing. I'm sorry, it's not going to work. It's all backfiring. And it's all backfiring because I actually believe James Talarico that he's religious. And he's showing everybody, this is what my Christianity teaches me. This is the type of person I am because of Christianity. Whereas every Republican Christian, all the right-wing Christians, the white right-wing Christians, what are they doing? They're like, oh yeah, I use my religion to justify pedophilia. That's how I use my religion. I use my religion to, try to kick our gay kids out of the house because they've forsaken me. I use my religion to support shoving undocumented immigrants in concentration camps and watching them get raped and tortured at CCOT in El Salvador. I use my religion to defend Donald Trump bombing a little girl's elementary school in Iran where he killed 170 precious little girls. That's how they use their religion. It's not working, bro. The shit is backfiring hard. So, Ken Paxton, who, by the way, has the personality of a dirty diaper. I mean, this guy is phenomenally uncharismatic. I don't know if he's ever said, an interesting thing in his life, but he was doing a campaign event, and man, did this backfire, because he tries to go after James Talarico, and then somebody in the crowd reminds him of what he's done. Okay, here we go.
He also said that you cannot be a Christian and support the oil and gas industry. Now, I think that's in Leviticus, I think. If you can help me with it, I'm looking, but that's where I'm guessing. And then, of course, he's been banned.
By the way, real diverse environment we got in here. I don't know if you guys could see. A lot of diversity. You got old white people. You got older white people. You got the oldest white people. So the only person in that room that was under the age of 65, he said, "You cheated on your wife." And then they tried to drown out him stating that fact, right, by chanting, "USA, USA, USA," which is hilarious because it seems to indicate that, like, the most American thing you could do is cheat on your wife. Like that's, the Republicans view that as what family values are, and what being American is like, of course he cheated on his wife, god damn it. That's what a good red-blooded American would do, is cheat on his daggone wife, man. Like, oh no. This is a guy, this is why he's cooked, right? Is like, this is a guy who every 7 seconds there's a new scandal. From corruption to bribery to self-dealing to being unable to keep his little tiny pecker in his pants to disgusting attacks on Talarico that are flopping and failing miserably to having to be saved by Donald Trump from impeachment by your own party. I mean, your own party, Texas Republicans, impeached this motherfucker. Then it got to the Texas Senate, and Trump had to intervene to stop them from doing it. This guy bragged about stealing the election in 2020 in Texas for Trump. He said, if not for me getting mail-in ballots thrown out, Joe Biden would have won the state of Texas in 2020. That's what he said. I didn't say that. He said that shit. So good luck. Good luck to them, man, because it's not looking good. My fear is if Talarico ends up pulling this shit off by 1 point, 2 points, whatever it may be, I feel like they're not going to sit him, bro. That's what I'm scared about. I feel like they're not going to sit him. That, they'll come up with some excuse. I mean, this is Texas Republicans we're talking about. The Lord has never created a more loathsome creature than the Texas Republican. And I don't think they're going to lose gracefully. So here we go. Wild, wild stuff.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So Ben Shapiro is panicking because he's lost quite a bit of relevance over the last year or so. He represents sort of an old school version of establishment conservatism and Republican politics. You know, he's of the George W. Bush mindset. He's of the belief that the U.S. government should cut taxes for the rich. It should raise taxes on working class people. It should deregulate and let corporations run wild. It should pretty much wholeheartedly embrace a neocon, war hawk, imperialist foreign policy that says we're the biggest, baddest guy on the block. We're the world police. We do what we want. Okay, this is his belief. It's always been his belief. Now, he supported Ted Cruz in 2016 before Trump, but then when Ted Cruz lost, he kind of fell in line behind Trump. And now you will not find a bigger Trump dick rider than Ben Shapiro. Why do I say that? Because Donald Trump has embraced, a George W. Bush ideology on steroids. You know, he's waging 7 different wars, 8 different wars, as he says he solved 7 or 8 different wars. He cut taxes for the wealthy. He kicked 18 million people off their Medicaid. He is everything Ben Shapiro could want in a president. But the most important thing is Donald Trump is hyper cucked to Netanyahu and Israel, and he does whatever the fuck they want, okay? Ben Shapiro, with his views imploding on his YouTube channel, because there's no market for this kind of conservatism anymore, Ben Shapiro goes on Bill O'Reilly's show, and what follows is astonishing, because Bill O'Reilly's going to bring up Jon Stewart, and Shapiro does one of the grossest smears I've ever seen of Jon Stewart. It's so disgusting and so over the top. Even Bill O'Reilly has to basically distance himself from it and disagree with it and call it out. So having said that, let's listen and we'll break it down.
Now, Jon Stewart's a Jewish man. And you know that I have a long history with Stewart. And we've always been respectful. It's always worked out well. But Stewart's a good example you bring up. There are many famous, influential Jewish Americans. I'm not going to say they justify the anti-Semitism. I think that's
oh no, they do.
strong.
I'll say it. I'll say it. They do. I mean,
all right.
They do.
Well, you and I would probably differ then. They enable it. Okay? So
Sure.
I don't see Stewart going back to his nice place on the Jersey Shore, jumping up and down, that anti-Semitism is on the rise. I don't see that. But
Yeah,
I see Jon Stewart defending the radical elements, as you just pointed out. Not going to turn on them, mainly because of his audience. But the larger question is, Mamdani got the majority of Jewish voters in New York City. That's stunning, is it not?
All right, so before Shapiro chimes in, let me just point out what Bill O'Reilly is saying here is like, well, Jon Stewart is defending Zohran Mamdani. He's defending Abdul El-Sayed. And obviously these guys are anti-Semites, and Jon Stewart is enabling their anti-Semitism. Yeah. Here's the problem. They're not anti-Semites, and Jon Stewart is not enabling any kind of anti-Semitism. They are critics of Israel who are calling out the world's most obvious genocide live streamed in 4K for years. So there is a big difference between being an anti-Semite and being bigoted against Jews and being anti-Israel and against a genocidal apartheid government that is also doing terrorism on a regular basis, okay, and is devoted to an expansionist project to make Israel bigger and take over the countries around them. So, again, they're trying to be slick with it, but it's not slick, and nobody agrees with you. Like, everybody sees this and goes, what the fuck are you talking about? Jon Stewart is not an anti-Semite, and Abdul and Zohran are not anti-Semites either. Okay, prepare yourself, because Shapiro's response is a doozy.
I can explain this pretty easily. So this is a category error. So Jews, right, they kind of cross a variety of categories, right? The big question about Jews, are Jews a religion? Are Jews an ethnicity? Are Jews a tribe? Like, what exactly are Jews? So when we talk about Jews and how Jews vote, typically we are talking about people who self-identify as Jews, meaning they were born into a Jewish family and maybe they had an occasional bagel. If you're looking at people who actually care about Jewish practice, who care about Jewish philosophy, who care about Israel, which is a part of Jewish practice, right? I mean,
who care about Israel, which is a part of Jewish practice? Why would you pretend like that's the case? That is absolutely positively not a necessity at all. In fact, there are even very religious Orthodox Jews who are not in favor of Israel, right? I mean, the majority of Jews are, but there's plenty of like anti-Zionist Jews. Plenty of them, both religious and non-religious, more secular. But he's trying to say, no, you're not a real Jew unless you believe unless you're in line with my perspective, not only on Judaism, but also on Israel. So, like, you have to be in favor of the ethno-state that does terrorism in order to be a real Jew. I don't know, Ben. That sounds kind of fucking anti-Semitic to me. It sounds like you're the anti-Semitic one, and you're essentializing Jews. Let's keep going.
Who care about Jewish philosophy? Who care about Israel, which is a part of Jewish practice, right? I mean, as an Orthodox Jew, we pray, for example, for the restoration of Jerusalem 3 times a day. And this has been a regular thing in Judaism for several thousand years at this point. And so if you're talking about Jews who have no association with Judaism, and then you say, why do those people vote for Democrats or back people like Zohran Mamdani? Yes, so secular Jews, but the thing is that when people say secular Jew, they fail to understand that what they're really saying is about as coherent as atheist Catholic, right? Like if you're talking about people who are born into a Catholic family, right? If you're saying, if you're born into a Catholic family and you're a lapsed Catholic, nobody says, oh, why are all these lapsed Catholics voting for Democrats? I mean, the answer is because they're lapsed Catholics. They're not actual practicing Catholics. So Jon Stewart is about as Jewish as a ham sandwich in practice, even if he was born into a Jewish family.
Oh, my days. All right, ready for this? When you discussed Bill O'Reilly with your smear attack, you know you went too far. Ready? Watch this.
It's about as Jewish as a ham sandwich in practice, even if he was born into a Jewish family.
All right, I'm going to defend Stewart because I don't know that. I don't know how he really feels about his ethnicity, and I'm not going to hammer him for it.
Bro, you went too far for fucking Bill O'Reilly. Oh my days. Look at this. Mehdi Hassan says, caring about the state of Israel, quote, is part of Jewish practice, according to Ben Shapiro. If a non-Jew said this, they'd rightly be accused of anti-Semitism, of conflating Jews with Israel, of saying Jews have dual loyalties. But Shapiro just says it proudly. You are the actual anti-Semite, Ben Shapiro. And so is Netanyahu when he tries to tie every Jewish person on the planet to the atrocities of the government that he controls. I'm sorry. I know a lot of Jewish people. None of them are responsible for the illegal attacks against innocent Palestinians and the mass slaughters and the terrorism and the land theft. None of them are responsible for that. You know who's responsible for that? Netanyahu. You know who's responsible for that? The state of Israel. They're motherfucking responsible for that. Man, he's got some fucking nerve. Revoking the Jew card from Jon Stewart because he feels like he doesn't fit his personal definition of it. By the way, you know who else does this? I'm not kidding about this. You know who else does this? Where, what do they call it? Takfir, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's something like that. It's like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. The extremist Salafi jihadists look at other Muslims. Like if you're a Shia Muslim, if you're a Sufi Muslim, if you're from a different ideology under the branch of Islam, they go like, no, they don't count. They're not real ones. Like Shias are all apostates. Sufis are all apostates. These different branches are all apostates. You could be a Sunni Muslim, but have a different interpretation or a more moderate view, and ISIS and Al-Qaeda go, you're not a real Muslim. You're an apostate, now I can kill you, right? Like this is how they think. He's acting like fucking Al-Qaeda with his, I'm going to revoke your Jew card because I say so. Who the fuck are you? Who are you? You're a guy with a show that's losing relevance at record pace right now. Propped up by fucking, you know what they do, right? And you can go check his channel and you'll see what I'm talking about. Most of the time a video, it's like 17,000 views, 32,000 views. He gets pretty shitty views overall, but every now and then there'll be a video and it's like 400,000 views. And it's like, well, that's weird. How, like the average is like fucking 30,000 and then you get this one that pops up with 426. How does that happen? It's because he buys those clips he posts, he puts them as ads before other videos. And so it inflates the view count number, but like it's not like actual 400 some odd thousand people watch that. It's like a trick to inflate the view count number by making it run as a pre-roll ad. So, but this is what he's got to do now because he's so fucking irrelevant. Nobody on the right actually even fucking likes this guy anymore. He's been surpassed by, you know, the overt white nationalists like Nick Fuentes, or the dipshits who know they're dipshits and don't care, like Asmund Gold. This like fake intellectualism on the right and like caring more about Israel than the US. Like that's not a thing that people in this country want or care about at all. And so he shot himself in the dick. And here he is going after somebody who's actually popular and actually interesting. Again, I can't get over it. When you make Bill O'Reilly wince at your bigotry and your extremism, I mean, that's kind of crazy because he'll go along with a lot of right-wing stuff. But like this sort of shit here even made him go, I don't know about that one, Ben. That says a lot, doesn't it?
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So the Diet MAGA Democrats are out in full force now, and they have effectively declared war on Abdul el-Sayed, but they've also declared war on the Democratic Socialists of America. And they're not playing around anymore. In fact, I do believe there are some people that are nominally inside the Democratic tent who would rather see a Republican win than a DSA person win because, not that they're afraid of our failure, I think they're afraid of our victory. Because if DSA candidates win and we deliver on our agenda of universal health care and higher wages and unions and free child care and ending the wars, that sort of ends the gravy train of centrism. Because the gravy train of neoliberal centrism is all about super serving the corporations. The corporations pay you for your campaign, and then you get in there and you deliver subsidies and tax cuts for the corporations. And it's a way of like really hijacking the government to make sure it doesn't represent the people, it represents the corporations. And the centrist Democrats will, like, every now and then they'll throw a bone to the people, but they'll largely serve the corporations. And so they are now panicking because you have a robust, strong Democratic Party that's now rising, a wing of the Democratic Party that actually wants to deliver, okay? And so here's this guy, Jonathan Cowan of Third Way, which is a corporate Democratic group. You're going to see here, he's going to brag about attacking Bernie in 2016 and 2020, and he's going to talk about his $15 million plan to attack DSA and Abdul el-Sayed. Now, by the way, if you're announcing that in this moment, you do realize you're just like, whether it's inadvertent or not, you're just helping the right, correct? Like, you do realize that. Like, if you're waging war on the left flank of the Democratic Party that's won these primaries, what you're doing is de facto or on purpose helping Republicans. You are aware of that, right? So apparently your commitment to stopping MAGA at all costs, it's actually not You're actually not really that committed to that, because if you were, you'd be supporting, like Haley Stevens is to her credit, you would be supporting Abdul over the Republicans. Okay, but here we go. Let's listen.
Republicans running against Democratic Socialists have found an unlikely ally, other Democrats. The centrist Democrat think tank Third Way has pledged $15 million to discredit the DSA movement between now and 2028. Jonathan Cowan is the president of Third Way and joins us now.
By the way, he just looks like a couple corporations in a trench coat, doesn't he? He just has that vibe.
Jonathan, thanks for being here. So you told the New York Times this includes candidates like Abdul El-Sayed, who are not part of the DSA. He won the Michigan primary last night. I don't even know what day it is. Does that mean this is just a campaign against the more progressive wing of your party?
Absolutely not.
Of course it is. By definition, it is. The more progressive wing includes DSA candidates and DSA adjacent candidates. Like, Abdul's not in DSA, but his platform is, or his policy ideas are roughly similar to DSA. So, no, we're not going after the left flank. We're only going after DSA. That is the left flank. Oh my God.
Our bottom line is this, and we are a centrist democratic organization. The DSA and its platform are crazy, radical in the extreme, and they will do severe damage to Democrats up and down the ballot from the White House in 2028 all the way through the House and the Senate.
So, in other words, he is literally just doing the work of Republicans for them right now. That's what this is. If you are a liberal and you are spending time attacking the DSA, even for the ideas in their platform, which are unpopular, because there are some that are unpopular. If you attack them for like wanting to defund prisons or whatever the fuck, understand that you are just doing the dirty work of the right. Because this was always going to be their game plan. Their game plan was always going to be open up the DSA platform, find the least popular things, and just hammer away on that over and over and over and over and over. But of course, what people are ignoring when they do that is that none of these candidates are actually running on that. There was no candidate that was actually out there going, the reason I'm running is to defund all the prisons and abolish police. Nobody did that. Everybody who was DSA or DSA aligned was running on universal health care, higher wages, ending the war, don't spend the money giving it to Israel so they blow up kids, spend the money here. So you are just doing the Republicans' dirty work for them. You need to understand that. And I think this guy does. I think it's nefarious.
These are crazy ideas that no one supports. They're anti-American, they're deeply illiberal, and they're wildly unpopular.
But would it be your preference to have some of these DSA candidates in the House and the Senate to give Democrats an extra vote, or would you prefer that person to be a Republican?
The only correct answer here is yes, I would prefer the DSA beat Republicans. That's the only correct answer. In the same way that in races where centrist Democrats beat left flank candidates, if you ask me, hey, who do you prefer, the Republican or the centrist Democrat, I will 10 out of 10 times say the centrist Democrat. Let's see if you can pass this basic test.
Look,
Oh, weird. You didn't say yes. Weird. Look, I'm just doing the dirty work for MAGA. Look, I'm just doing the dirty work for MAGA. That's all. I mean, look.
Look, we're a centrist democratic organization. We believe that you need to put a check on Trump and MAGA, which means you need majorities in the House and the Senate. But we do not believe that the DSA and its ideas are good for Democrats long run.
Fuck him. Haley Stevens, after she lost, said, I'm endorsing Abdul El-Sayed. I'm going to campaign with Abdul El-Sayed. I'm 100% with Abdul El-Sayed. That's how you handle it. Okay? And by the way, I have no doubt that if Haley Stevens beat Abdul, he would be out there campaigning for Haley Stevens as well. This is fucking bullshit. You are not actually in the coalition if this is your reaction. I need you to understand that. You are not actually in the coalition if this is your reaction. There's a chance that whatever candidate we get in 2028 is not going to be my preferred candidate for president. I will still support that Democrat. Okay, because how can you look at what MAGA is right now and not take that position? Like, I actually think you need a fucking lobotomy check if you can't realize now the existential threat that MAGA is. Like, you probably were lobotomized if you don't realize it.
We believe that if Democrats cozy up to the DSA, are part of the DSA, take the DSA support, that will ultimately make it impossible to win the White House, and it will harm Democratic majorities in the long run.
I would love to know how these people react to basic facts about American history. Like, for example, when Americans got a little taste of social democracy under FDR with the New Deal, he ended up holding 80% of the House, 80% of the Senate, and he won 4 presidential elections. I wonder how these people would react to that. Because, like, that's a fact. and you're pretending like, oh, these policies are unpopular. Well, that's when we had some of the policies, and it was very, very popular. So you have nothing to base your argument off of. It's all feels, it's all vibes, it's all whatever garbage a corporation wants you to spew, because all they care about is their profit motive, and you're there to protect the corporation's profit motives, not to look out for the American people.
I think you should have launched this campaign prior to the primaries.
Great question. I wish I had.
Oh, wow, would you look at that? So shout out to the host who's like, this would be a thing that you should do before the primary, not like now that the DSA candidates have won, because for you to go against these candidates after they won, you're just helping MAGA, right?
I certainly wish I had. But look, Third Way as an organization took on Bernie Sanders in 2016 and 2020 in the Democratic primaries. And we were the lead outside organization taking on Sanders, and we helped to beat him both times. So this is not a new fight.
To brag about this in 2026 is like career suicide for Democratic politics. Like, the seeds that Bernie planted led to the current day wins that these candidates are having. And you're like, yeah, we were able to stave off the populist left rise by throwing a bunch of corporate money against them, and it worked. By lying and smearing and throwing a bunch of corporate money against them, and it worked. Well, it's not working anymore, and now you're bragging about what you did to tank the politician who's the second most popular politician in the fucking country?
Ever sat down with them to say, hey, how can we all play nice in this big tent?
Never sat down with them. I'd imagine the DSA has no interest in working with me.
Yes, because we want corporate money out of politics. All big money out of politics, Wall Street money, military industrial complex money, AI money. We want all that shit out of Democratic politics. We want candidates who are for universal health care and free college and a living wage and ending the wars and free child care and all this stuff. They're declaring war now on us, bro. Just so you know, they're declaring, and let's be clear, there's a big difference between somebody who's an imperfect ally and an enemy. An imperfect ally is somebody who supported a centrist, but then immediately was like, yeah, I'm going to support the left-wing candidate who won. That's an imperfect ally. An enemy is somebody like this, who after DSA candidates win, they go, we're still going to try to tank the DSA candidates. Well, that is just you acknowledging you're trying to help the Republicans now. You're not on the team, bro. You're not. And it really is the classic case of like, there's some centrists and some neoliberals who would prefer fascism to even social democracy, not even democratic socialism. It's crazy. Okay. Well, now we got another example. So here is Hillary Clinton, who's going to sort of give credence to the right-wing smear campaign against Abdul by saying, oh, it's going to be a very powerful argument when they try to do the anti-commie stuff. Listen to this.
You're not going to convince Republican voters in Michigan. And the real fight will be how do we make sure that people who voted for Haley feel comfortable voting for Abdul El-Sayed, and how do we get independents to feel comfortable? And you can see that it's not just about Michigan, but the Republican messaging is communist, socialist. It's going to be a very effective attack. And so people on the left have to be prepared to answer that and to be effective at answering it.
How about you do that right now? How about you explain why there's nothing to be afraid of with Abdul? How about you explain why he's actually right, and what he wants is universal health care, and what he wants is higher wages, and what he wants is to stop sending our money overseas to blow up kids? How about you do that instead of concern trolling over, oh, it's going to be very effective when you call him a communist, when you call him a socialist?
Do you think communist is an effective attack in 2026?
Well, all I know is that's the attack that Trump is leading with, and I assume they've tested it.
Oh, I assume there's a logical reason for why Trump is doing what he's doing. Oh, I'm sure it's not like totally impulsive and visceral and something he just made up on the fly. Yeah, because he's well known to prepare and look at data, right?
I assume that they have reason to believe that it's effective, or they wouldn't be beating the drum on it, because now it's not just him. Vance.
Imagine assuming Trump is like using logic and reason.
Has done it. Others are doing it. They are trying to, bring back scare tactics about our candidates. And it didn't work in New York. Mamdani was elected, and there was a lot of money spent against him. When you have an effective candidate on the left, it still is going to be a close race on our side.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be, though, Hillary. It doesn't have to be. Okay, so I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but as this person pointed out, Hillary Clinton warns Dems that the GOP's anti-communist platform will be, quote, a very effective attack. This person says, number one, she lost Michigan to Bernie. Number two, she lost Michigan to Trump. Number three, the Republicans call everybody a communist. I don't want to hear any motherfucking concern trolling from anybody. If you're on the team, be on the team and go out there and explain, here's why Abdul is not an extremist by any stretch of the imagination. Here's why he's actually a moderate. Because universal health care is something every other developed country has, but we don't have. How about the extreme position is what we currently have? He wants to do something moderate. He wants to solve the problem, okay? make the arguments. Stop like concern trolling and being like, it's actually going to work really well if they keep saying this thing over and over. All right, well, how about this? The last time we heard from Hillary, remember this? Trump reposts Hillary Clinton praising his Gaza plan. Hillary Clinton, quote, "The world may not like Trump's Gaza plan, but there is no alternative. If even I, an implacable opponent of the president, can accept this as the best option, then surely others can too." What we don't need in this moment is the you got to hand it to ISIS shit. We don't need the you got to hand it to Trump shit, okay? This man is a fascist. He's a terrorist. He's a con man. He's a scam artist. He's a rapist. He's a pedophile. He's destroyed this country. And if you don't have anything negative to say about him, don't say anything at all. Okay? We don't need, you got to hand it to him on Gaza. Really? He armed and funded a fucking genocide, and now he's profiting with his board of peace off of the misery and the pain and the suffering in Gaza, and they're not going to give any of that land back to Palestinians. And you're doing a gotta hand it to him? So no, we don't need that from Hillary. It's a fucking sick joke. But there you have it, man. You have the center or the neoliberals, the third way types. They're declaring war on the left, and I think what they're going to find out very quickly is that's all astroturfed, right? That your standard run-of-the-mill liberal voters or centrist Democrat voters, they have no qualms about voting for a left-wing candidate over a Republican. They would snap answer, of course I'm going to vote for the left-wing candidate over a Republican, because they don't make the same sort of ideological distinctions that the bought-off third-way cretins do, or that the, establishment Democratic, corporate Democratic, diet MAGA Democratic politicians do. There are no qualms among Democratic voters. Among Democratic voters, they see the disgusting stuff that Trump is doing to this country, and they go anything to stop that. So they're all going to support whatever left flank candidate it is. But it sure would be nice if the left didn't have to fight a fucking two-front war against a bunch of corporate money from within the Democratic Party and from the motherfucking fascists on the right. It sure would be nice to have our allies do some ally shit. Call me crazy.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So the huge news that dropped today is that apparently when Trump was in Turkey early in July, there was an alleged Iranian assassination threat against his life that was so severe and so serious that the White House pretended like Trump was on Air Force One, but secretly shipped him in a food container truck to a totally different plane. So if I remember at the time correctly, they were pretending like, oh yeah, Trump's not taking his Qatari Air Force One, the illegal gift that he took from Qatar. He's not taking that plane back. He's going to use the old Air Force One and take that one back for security reasons or whatever. This is what we were told at the time. The reality is, he wasn't in the Qatari Air Force One. He wasn't in the old Air Force One. They thought that the threat on his life was so serious that they had him take a third plane back, a totally separate plane back. Now, here's the craziest part. You ready for this? They didn't tell any of the people in the media who were on the Qatari Air Force One. So the White House was quite literally willing to sacrifice, dozens of reporters and let dozens of reporters get murdered and then hide Trump and make it so he escapes and he survives. They use these innocent people as decoys. I mean, as people have pointed out, bro, this is like the sort of shit that you saw on the Titanic, where the rich assholes would pretend to be a woman and then go onto a lifeboat. And then you'd have a woman and some kids not be able to get their lives saved because of the fucking asshole rich guy. This is what Trump is in real life, bro. Total motherfucking coward. I mean, we know that during one of his assassination attempts, he did the whole fight thing with blood dripping down his ear. But the fact of the matter is, when they thought there was real motherfucking danger, he was going, hide, hide, hide. And he went to a third plane that nobody knew about. So, seemingly a big deal. Now, here's the thing, though, and this is the part that not many people are pointing out. Trump said to the White House, if Iran assassinates me, if they do anything to me, I've given orders to just basically wipe Iran off the map, nuke them, carpet bomb them, bomb them in a way that they'll never fucking forget. But here's the thing. Who's been telling Trump that Iran wants to assassinate him all this time? It's been Israel. And what does Israel want more than anything? Israel wants the U.S. to continue the war against Iran and to bomb the shit out of them. So now we have a situation where it's possible that Iran is trying to kill Trump for the simple fact that Trump killed the Grand Ayatollah, killed their leader. So, you know, they're saying, hey, it's just eye for an eye here. You killed our guy. We're going to come after you. It's possible, but it's also possible Israel is plotting the assassination, knowing that if they get Trump, that Trump gave the order to light up Iran and bomb them to smithereens, which is exactly what Israel wants. So we don't know what's going on here, but it's very fishy nonetheless. However you look at it, it's very fishy nonetheless. But here's a clip that breaks it down.
Donald Trump was reportedly smuggled off Air Force One in a catering truck last month, in a dramatic security ruse designed to protect him from a potential Iranian assassination attempt. The deception operation took place as the president was flying back from a NATO summit in Turkey on July 8th. Footage from the night shows Trump boarding a former Air Force One jumbo jet. He is then reportedly shuttled minutes later into a smaller plane via an airport catering truck typically used to load food and supplies onto aircraft. Reporters on the plane were not informed that Trump would not be flying with them, turning them, along with some White House staff, into unwitting decoys. Trump is then shuttled onto a smaller plane, an Air Force C-32A, which the catering truck can then be seen parking alongside. The travelling press corps on the old Air Force One model, unaware of the manoeuvre, were asked to pull down their window blinds before departure. A small group of top government officials had knowledge of the deception plan, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. When asked later by reporters why they needed to keep their blinds closed, Trump made a dark joke about the threat posed by Iran.
Were you aware of any credible threat by Iran against Air Force One?
I have a threat all the time. I'm number one on their list before you. But if I go, you go. Right?
But was there a specific
so
threat today?
Perhaps someday you want to change professions.
It's not clear how Trump moved back to the blue Air Force One plane after landing, but he appeared before television camera crews and descended the external stairs at around 10:56 p.m. Following a short stop at the Mildenhall Royal Air Force Base in the UK, Mr. Trump then boarded his Air Force One jet, which had newly been gifted to him by Qatar, and completed his journey to Washington.
Now, the other thing I wanted to point out to you guys is that you all know Trump has been golfing the past few days as the country is falling apart, the economy is in shambles, inflation is up, unemployment is up, gas prices up, grocery prices up, his multiple wars have spiraled out of control. Like, the country is barbecue chicken right now, okay? And as that's going on, Trump is golfing. Well, we just learned that as Trump was golfing in Bedminster, New Jersey, he had, anti-aircraft missiles that were with him on the golf course. These, massive anti-aircraft missile defense systems that were with him on the golf course. It is the most preposterous thing I've ever seen in my life. The idea that Iran is going to send a Shahid drone to Bedminster, New Jersey, and you wouldn't know about it until it's right there. Are you kidding me? What a sick joke this is. The guy is so selfish and so full of himself and so ridiculous, and he has the mind of a toddler. So he barked around the orders. Give me the anti-aircraft missiles. I want them on the course with me. They're like, sir, you don't really need them on the course with me, but I want them on the course with me. You better give them on the course. So apparently he's motherfucking paranoid, bro. He has lost it. He's the mad king. And look at it. When it comes to himself, his own safety, he doesn't spare a single motherfucking expense. He's like, I don't give a shit how much this costs the taxpayers. I don't give a shit how unnecessary it is. Give me those anti-aircraft, missiles. So it's crazy watching this unfold, but wild story, man. He's shitting himself right now. He is shitting himself. He is panicking. I think that if he could go back in time and not do this illegal war against Iran, I think he probably would go back in time and not do it, for the simple reason that I think deep down he thought he was riding high after Venezuela when he illegally kidnapped Maduro and started stealing the oil and the gold from Venezuela and keeping it personally. He felt like, oh, Iran's going to be the same shit. And little did he know, they were prepping for this war back when Donald Trump was, trying to fuck Stormy Daniels on the golf course. Okay? They were prepping for this war when Trump was kicking black people out of his apartment buildings. They were prepping for this war when Donald Trump was having Epstein orgies with little kids. They were prepping for this war when Trump was learning everything that he learned from Roy Cohn, the mafia gangster lawyer, okay? So he got caught flat-footed, made a fucking ass of himself, and now we're all dealing with the fallout. But apparently, man, they were willing to sacrifice all these reporters
and, Trump running out the back and just hiding. So crazy news. And, by the day, it gets weirder in this bitch.
Now, I don't want to be the asshole here, but I might end up being the asshole here because we have some videos of Trump supporters who are expressing regret, okay? But the details get a little bit iffy, if you know what I'm saying. So first, let's start with this one. Owner of Miami's most famous Haitian restaurant regrets his vote for Trump after he ends Haitian temporary protected status, crushing his business. So here we go. This is a CBS Evening News clip, and it says a lot.
I voted for Donald Trump.
The Chef Creole restaurant in Miami's Little Haiti neighborhood is typically bustling with customers. Not today.
People are scared.
Owner Wilkinson Sajor says it's not just the clientele. After 34 years in business, he's lost his entire management team at 7 locations and will likely have to shut down 2 stores due to the end of temporary protected status.
The end of TPS means for me that my future in the hospitality business is almost going to be non-existent.
On Sunday, federal officers made an immigration arrest outside one of his restaurants.
What would you say to the president that you voted for? He sold to me that he is a businessman and that he will be making business decisions.
Of all the things Trump said, of all the things he did, of his long record of being a con man and everything, you thought, oh, he's a businessman, so he's going to run the country really well like a business. Like, that's what you took out of his 2016 campaign and his 2020 campaign and his 2024 campaign. That was your takeaway? Oh, business. He's a business guy. He does business. What? I mean, how am I even supposed to react to that? That is so disconnected from anything real, it's laughable.
He is a businessman and that he will be making business decisions.
Do you regret your vote?
Yes, I do.
If your restaurant business was reliant on Haitians who were here under a temporary protected status, did you really fucking think Donald Trump was going to protect the Haitians who are here under temporary protected status? That's like one of the groups of people that I would expect day one he's going to go in there and fucking kick them out of the country. Day one he's going to rescind their protected status. That's what I would think. A guy who's so deeply anti-immigration. And not only are you talking about immigrants, you're talking about black immigrants. You think Donald Trump is really going to be welcoming of black immigrants? He had that famous quote about, like, why don't people ever come here from the non-shithole countries? They only come here from the shithole countries. He means like Haiti. He means Haiti. He means Africa. He's a racist. He's a bigot, of course. So here you have a black business owner like, oh, I know I voted for the leopards eating people's faces party, but I didn't know they would eat my face. Fucking, of course he was going to eat your face. You were the first thing on the menu. You were the appetizer in this bitch. What are you talking about? Okay, now I know I'm being the asshole because this is like, okay, so he flipped. He's not going to vote for Republicans anymore. But it's like, I don't know, when you get warned over and over and over and over and over that shit like this is going to happen and then it happens, at a certain point we got to be like, you should have fucking listened at some point, right? Like, you should have fucking listened. Okay, but I got more. This one's a doozy. 75-year-old man named John Gannon is a lifelong Republican. He voted for Trump. But just wait until you hear what life situation he had and what Trump did and how he feels now. This is amazing.
I voted for Trump. I am saying that they are picking up law-abiding citizens. They're destroying families, jobs.
John Gannon is a 75-year-old businessman and lifelong Republican who supported President Trump in 2024.
I wouldn't do that again, not after this fiasco.
His fiancée, 45-year-old Venezuelan immigrant Yasmin Suarez-Reyes, was detained by ICE at George Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston in late July.
8 ICE agents swarmed Jasmine and detained her, didn't tell us why, and rustled her off into a car.
When you saw that unfold, what went through your mind?
Well, I was just in total disbelief.
According to her immigration lawyer, Suarez-Reyes came to the U.S. legally in 2023 and later applied for asylum, a case that is still ongoing. But her underlying permission to be in the U.S. has lapsed. Some people may say this is what mass deportations look like.
They're not going after the hard guys. That's too difficult. It's easier to pick them up at the airport. You know, it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Suarez-Reyes was arrested as part of a recent crackdown by ICE at airports across the country.
ICE is here, help us!
Back in Texas, Gannon says he deeply misses his fiancée, who remains in ICE custody, facing deportation.
Jasmine's good as gold. Love Jasmine. That's it.
We contacted the Department of Homeland Security about this case, but have yet to hear back. Immigrants like Suarez Reyes would typically not have been targeted for deportation and arrest under prior administrations. But the Trump administration has taken the position that anyone whose immigration status has lapsed is fair game for enforcement.
Bro, what did you expect to happen? And I mean that sincerely. From the bottom of my heart, I mean that. First of all, you're a 75-year-old man, and she's 45 years old. Okay? So what the fuck are you doing there, rocking the cradle? Oh, dinky stinky. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two is, what did you expect? You really thought your immigrant wife who got here in 2023 and had to, file for refugee status, for asylum? Like, you really thought, oh, nah, he's not talking about my wife when he talks about all this anti-immigrant shit. You know what the thing is about this that drives me crazy? Is I have no doubt that if ICE didn't go after his wife in particular, he would have nothing bad to say about Trump at all. In other words, 4,200 people missing because of ICE from Alligator Alcatraz, mass kidnappings and abductions and human traffickings, the destruction of due process and the Constitution in this country, ICE doing slavery at their detention facilities, over 50 people dying in ICE custody, innocent people getting shot in the face while protesting ICE, literal criminals joining ICE, Home Depot's getting raided, Lowe's getting raided, they're zip tying naked U.S. kids and putting them in the back of U-Haul vans after dragging them out of their beds. All of that, he would have looked at it and said, all right, but if they didn't come for his wife, I don't think he would have cared, bro. I don't think he would have cared. I think he would have been like, hey, it ain't me, it ain't my wife, it ain't anybody I know. So that's why it's sort of tough to listen to this and have any sort of sympathy. Is like, it's the classic thing, right? Republican voters don't give a shit until it happens to them specifically, until it happens to them directly. How many Republican politicians were told completely and utterly against gay marriage to their core, but then eventually when you find out your daughter's gay, then you sort of soften on the issue a little bit. Well, why the fuck didn't you care when it was your neighbor's kid? When it's your kid, suddenly you care. When it was your neighbor's kid, you were like, I don't care. They shouldn't have the same rights as straight couples. Why? Why? Why does it have to happen to you specifically? Is it really that difficult to go, let me put myself in this person's shoes? Is it really that difficult? And again, you were told, you were warned, all of you were told, all of you were warned. And here we are. 75-year-old white dude dating a 45-year-old Venezuelan. ICE kidnaps her. And he's going, I wouldn't vote for Trump again because of what he did here. Okay, but what if he didn't do that? Would you vote for him again then? How about that? Right? If Trump did all the other fascism and terrorism and imperialism, but he didn't specifically rescind the temporary protected status for Haitian immigrants, would that other guy have cared? He wouldn't have fucking cared. He wouldn't have cared. But I mean, look, we're actually getting to the point now where Trump has so directly and specifically pissed off like every little group in this country that Republicans are about to get their cheeks clapped over the top, because that's where we are now. Like, is there anybody he hasn't pissed off? I mean, he's only got 36% of the population is still with him. The low poll was 30, and that's like the cult members, like the hardcore cult members. You know what I'm saying? But like, he actually has pissed off all these different little segments of the population. But don't say we didn't tell you so. Like, again, this is I voted for the leopards eating people's faces party, but I didn't think the leopards would eat my face. Well, fucking of course they were going to eat your face. And like I said, you were warned 17,000 times over, and now finally the chickens are coming home to roost. And you get a segment on the news explaining how you changed your mind. Well, you should have fucking changed your mind years and years and years and years ago. People forget, I wasn't always like this, right? Like, I was the one in Trump's first term, early on in his first term, I was the one who was like, hey, look, man, Trump ran on some racist-ass shit, but he also said he wanted to keep the jobs here. He also said he was against the wars. Like, he also said he didn't want to outsource the jobs. Like, all these things. So maybe some of the people voted for him for not the worst reason, so, like, let's be reasonable. But where we are now in 2026, you can't say that anymore. Anybody who's still with Trump or was with Trump even 6 months ago, it's like, I'm sorry, like, too little, too late is a massive understatement. But anyway, there you have it. It's not looking good for him, but, maybe don't vote for the leopards eating people's faces party anymore.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
Being in the rest of the country and watching what's happening in New York City is really giving everybody FOMO, because the entire country's fallen apart under the leadership of Trump. And then Zohran in New York City is turning that bitch into a utopia. It is crazy to watch. So the other day, I don't know if you guys saw this, but the other day, there was an event that Zohran went to go speak at. Now, apparently it was like some cop event, but my sister was at the event because my niece was dancing in it. You know, she's a dancer, and like her and all the other little girls danced in it at the beginning of the event. And according to my sister and my brother-in-law, when Zohran came to speak, there were a bunch of boos from the crowd. Well, come to find out, there was like a big-time Republican activist in Staten Island that went to go heckle Zohran, right? And he heckled Zohran so hard, he gave himself cardiac arrest. I'm not kidding. He heckled himself into a fucking heart attack. He hated Zohran so aggressively, he gave himself a heart attack. Now, Staten Island is the most conservative part of New York City, so in some ways it's sort of unsurprising. But man, are they some fucking haters, because this man is delivering hard body karate. So let me show you this. Shout out to this guy. He posted about a pothole that he saw in New York in the morning. And by the evening, that shit was fixed. You can't make this up. Here, watch. Here we go.
Yo, Mom Donnie, bro. We need your help, gang. We need your help. We need your help. Look. Like, gang, why is there a whole hole in the road, gang? That big ass hole. You see all these cracks, gang? And then there's another one right there. What is this? Come on, Mom Donnie. Come on, Mom Donnie. I ain't gonna lie, we need your help. Hey, y'all see how the world works, bro? You see how in the morning I said there was 2 potholes, right? Look what happened after I come back from work. What, nigga? Nigga. Mom Donnie, I did not know you was like that, nigga. Nigga, that quick? I said this shit like literally in the morning. That shit gone already. Nah, we love you, Mom Donnie.
What Zohran is doing is he is reminding people that the government actually has the power to improve your life. The government has the ability to improve your life. It's just a matter of who's running it. And do they want to improve your life, or are they there to super serve the billionaires and the corporations and the Epstein class? Are they there to implement fascism and all sorts of extremist policies across the country? Or are they there because they actually want to make a difference and they want to improve people's lives and they want to give people health care and they want to give them education and they want to deliver higher wages and they want to check the corporate abuses and the billionaire abuses that happen all throughout this country? And Zohran is fucking delivering. He's reminding an entire generation of people that we can deliver if we care enough to fucking deliver. Okay? So under this guy's leadership, crime has plummeted. This is something that flies directly in the face of all the smear tactics against the left, where they say these people want to defund the police and these people want crime to go up and they want anarchy. Well, apparently not, because crime is at a record low under Zohran. He also cracked down on shitty landlords, which is another way of saying going after criminals, right? He ordered a deep cleaning of the subway. He filled a record number of potholes. In fact, here, let me show you this as well, because there's articles written about this. Quote, "No problem is too small to fix. New Yorkers are calling on Mayor Mamdani for help and getting surprisingly fast results. New Yorkers are praising Mayor Zohran Mamdani for giving the city some much-needed TLC, whether that means fixing potholes or repairing park hazards." There was another video that went viral of some other shit that desperately needed fixing, and it got done right away. As of April 6th, that was a while ago, but that's when they hit 100,000 potholes that were already fixed. The man actually gives a shit about governing. The man actually gives a shit about delivering for people. The man actually gives a shit about making New York more affordable and a place for anybody to live, right? He's raising taxes on the rich. He's got Hochul on board now for universal child care. He was able to freeze the rent, I believe, for 2 years. So this is what it looks like, bro. And unfortunately, because I hate to break the bad news to everybody, he wasn't born in the U.S., so he can't be president. But at some point, there will probably be either a governor, Mamdani, in New York, or a senator, Mamdani, from New York. Because wins like this does not happen often, bro. This does not happen often, where you get a politician who actually gives a shit and his charisma matches his competence. And I think not only are you going to see this with Zohran, you're probably going to see this with Abdul El-Sayed as well. It is a fucking glorious thing to see. But being mayor of New York City and delivering day after day and literally shocking your own constituents, It's incredible. It's incredible. So we don't accept any Mamdani slander on this channel. I told you guys, there are times I criticized him in the past, but when I criticized him, I didn't see the whole picture. And then given a little bit more time, I was able to say, oh, that's why he did that thing, and it ended up working, right? Like when he made an alliance with Kathy Hochul, and, you know, he refused to endorse against Hakeem Jeffries, for example. There were some things that were red lines for Hochul, and he said, listen, I'll deliver, and I won't cross your red line, but you got to deliver for me, and you got to help me deliver on my agenda. And she said, all right, bet. And they made an agreement, and here we are. That shit worked. So you got to let him cook. You got to let him cook. He's an expert chef in the kitchen, and he's cooking on some other shit right now. So amazing to see. Absolutely love it. And it's glorious.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So Oliver Larkin is a DSA candidate running in Florida's 25th district. He's running against self-described Ron DeSantis Democrat Jared Moskowitz, okay? And Oliver Larkin is probably most known now for going on Fox News into the Lion's Den and saying to a host's face when he was trying to go after immigrants and call them rapists. You had Oliver said, basically attacked Trump for being a pedophile and said, why are we talking about immigrants when we could talk about the pedophile in the fucking White House, right? So that went mega viral. His fundraising skyrocketed. They just released an internal poll that had him only 2 points down to Jared Moskowitz. So I'm excited. It's a very, very difficult district for him to win, but, you know, he's putting up a fight like nobody's business, okay? But he also went back on Fox News. He was on Fox News Sunday, and man, this is a masterclass. He absolutely fillets this host without breaking a sweat. Here we go.
I want to start your reaction to the James Carvilles, the Van Jones of the world, who say DSA does not belong in the Democrat Party. It doesn't align with their interests. Is the idea to, within the party, you know, force the party to mold to your ideas, or do you think you can just exist within the tent?
I think it's very funny to hear James Carville talking about an AI stupid idea generator when there's $300,000 in super PAC spending from OpenAI's super PAC going for Jared Moskowitz in our district right now. I do think that James Carville and Van Jones are missing something, that electoralism is about addition, not subtraction, and I think it is very foolhardy to be excluding people from the Democratic Party that they're going to be begging for our votes in 2028, and we need to be building a majoritarian coalition that's capable of winning back power in states like Florida and taking back the House of Representatives.
So let's talk about your district specifically, where you are challenging an incumbent. You mentioned Congressman Jared Moskowitz. The Miami Herald says you're not the man for the job. They say in a district that's 25% Jewish, they've endorsed your competitor. They say this, the editorial board writing, Larkin said he does not consider anti-Zionism to be anti-Semitic, but that's disingenuous. He must know full well that many or even most Jews see anti-Zionism as a less obvious but still potent form of anti-Semitism. He may try to add his own spin to the term, but it remains offensive and is a dog whistle that no doubt appeals to anti-Semites. So what's your message to Jewish voters there in that district?
That they're a part of our coalition, and I will note that the South Florida Sun-Sentinel, which declined to endorse Jared Moskowitz in this race, made his assertion that I'm running against him solely for his religion patently false. They listed the Medicare for All, $25 an hour, universal child care, paid family and medical leave. So there's some contentious issues that we're dealing with down here in South Florida, and the media is not a monolith, and the South Florida Sun-Sentinel rightfully called out Jared Moskowitz's claim as false, and we reject the claim that anti-Zionism is equatable to anti-Semitism. I'm proud to have the support of Jewish organizations like Jewish Voice for Peace, and we're building a coalition for our collective liberation to stand up against anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, anti-black racism, anti-queer discrimination, and for the well-being and equality of all people who call our nation home.
You also have support from someone named Hassan Piker. He has made a lot of headlines. He's helped fundraise for...
It's like a requirement now that every mainstream media segment of anybody that's actually on the left immediately be grilled over Hassan Piker. They like mandate that you have to grill these left-wing candidates over Hassan Piker. It is insane how often they get asked about Hassan Piker. It's crazy.
The Anti-Defamation League says he's got a history of rhetoric that sanitizes and justifies violence and terrorism against the state of Israel.
The Anti-Defamation League also said that Elon Musk did not do a Nazi salute. That's how much you can take seriously what they have to say. Is they were, riding Trump's baby dick and, running cover for Elon Musk as he goose steps and Zig Heils. They're not a serious organization.
And using derogatory rhetoric towards Jews that claims that they say Orthodox Jews are inbred, which he did subsequently apologize for in response to backlash. He calls for the eradication of Zionism and demonizes Zionism as a, quote, mental illness. I could go on. He said a lot of things that are offensive to Jewish people and to those who support Israel. Do you believe Israel has a right to exist?
Same like 5 questions, bro. Oh my days.
I think that Israel should be a secular and democratic state with equal rights for all people. And the current configuration of the state of Israel is a religious supremacist one that privileges Jewish citizens above Palestinians. And we see a two-tiered system of justice in the West Bank that's been under illegal occupation since 1967 with illegal West Bank Israeli settlers under Israeli civil law and Palestinians who have called this their ancestral home being subject to Israeli military law with upwards of a 95% conviction rate. So the two-tiered system of justice, the two-tiered political system in Israel is not one that I think the United States should be supportive of if we believe in upholding democracy, not just here, but around the world.
Do you think that we
freaked it.
should cut off defensive weapons, either by purchase or by us supplying them to Israel defensive weapons?
I do not make a distinction between offensive and defensive weaponry. Israel has been rightfully attributed as committing a genocide and apartheid. Virtually every international body that has studied this issue, from the United Nations multiple inquiries, the Amnesty International group, even Israeli human rights organizations, including B'Tselem. And when the United States is in violation of not just international law, but our own law, the Leahy laws that prohibit the Department of State and Department of Defense from providing military assistance to foreign security forces accused of gross human rights violations, we're in violation of our own law right now. And so at minimum, we need to condition this aid. But if it were up to me, I do not think that we should be aiding and abetting a genocide by either providing taxpayer-funded weaponry or selling it.
Okay, Hassan Piker also famously said that America deserved 9/11. Do you think we deserve 9/11?
Oh, no. Come on, bro. Come on. I can't believe they're trying this. I can't believe they're doing this. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. Ugh. He obviously was talking about the CIA concept of blowback, saying, like, we meddled in the Middle East and that was the reaction. That's where that came from. It was not like, I actually am pro-terrorism. And they asked this candidate, like, what do you think he's going to say? He's going to go, yes, I do believe that. Now go vote for... Of course he's not going to fucking say that. Oh, my days.
No, of course not. No, I think Hassan has walked back that statement, and no, I do not agree with that whatsoever.
Okay, Act Blue advertised a gathering for you in Brooklyn on Friday night. The host committee listed, including Linda Sarsour. She has said things like, you can't humanize Israelis. They are the enemy. You can never work with them. She's advocated for a one-state solution, meaning no Israel. Do you understand how having people like that supporting you in a fundraiser or any other way is very troublesome to Jewish people?
There's been, like, what, 7 questions. 5 of them have been about Israel and Jewish feelings.
Again, Linda's not a candidate for office, and I think when she talks about one secular and democratic state with equal rights, that's a principle that most Americans support. I don't think we want to be supporting a country where there's a two-tiered system of justice, where people do not enjoy the same political or even rights of movement with the fragmentation of the West Bank and the construction of illegal Israeli settlements. So, no, I do not believe that Linda is speaking towards anything but our common humanity and upholding peace and justice and equality for people in Israel and Palestine. So I understand that this is an issue that has not gotten its due diligence in media for a very long time. But I think that now what we are seeing with the contribution of our taxpayer dollars and what they're going towards, with not just the actions in Gaza, the genocide or the apartheid in the West Bank, but now with 1 million people in Lebanon forced to be refugees by Israeli occupation. And now we're being dragged into this very unpopular war with Iran that, at Marco Rubio's own admission, has been at the behest of Israel's government.
Do you think that there's an existential threat to Israel's existence?
Come on, bro. Like 75% of the questions are about Israel. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. By the way, this is why Abdul won, because he also got asked all the time about Israel, and he was always able to say, why are we sending them billions of dollars? Let's spend that money here on universal health care. Like, let's spend that money here to increase your wages. Let's spend that money here to fix our schools. And, like, every time they asked him about Israel, it backfired because he was just able to jujitsu it into, y'all keep wanting to talk about Israel. I want to take that money we're sending to Israel and spend it here. It backfired when they went against Zohran, too, because remember when they were asking, like, where would you visit? The first place you would visit when you become mayor. And Zohran was like, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to stay here. But every other candidate was like, I would go to Israel. I would go to Israel 7 times. I would go to Israel and Ukraine. I would go to Israel and sleep with Netanyahu. Like, there's just one person more deranged than the next over and over. And he was able to sound normal. So I can't imagine this is working. Like, even the fucking Fox News audience has to be like, really? Your fucking, like, 6th question on Israel? What are you doing?
Do you think that there's an existential threat to Israel's existence based on some of the folks in its neighborhood?
By the way, there's an existential threat to Palestinians' existence. There's an existential threat to Lebanon's existence. There's an existential threat to Iran's existence and Syria's existence. Because Israel is creating a greater Israel with our money and our weapons. That's why we need to stop sending it to them and spend it here.
I think that the people, the countries in the Middle East want to see the Palestinians' right of return. They want to see the ability for people in Israel, in Palestine, to have equal rights. And I don't think that that means the destruction or some attribution of violence towards what the ultimate objective is, which is just having people's rights respected equally and not having Palestinians suffer as second-class citizens in their ancestral homeland.
All right, Oliver Larkin, we know this is one of the top issues within the party, within the DSA, how you get to any common positions you can on these issues regarding Israel. We'll keep talking about them, and we appreciate your time today.
Incredible. Absolutely fucking incredible. Vote for Oliver, man. If you're in Florida's 25th district, vote for Oliver. Go support him. Like I said, he's actually going to be on Crystal Kyle and Friends this week, so you do not want to miss that. Sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends below. And yeah, we got our eye on that race, man. Like I said, it's a very tough district, but he's putting up a hell of a fight, and he's surging at the right moment, and he's a real one. All right, y'all. That's the show, man. Love y'all to death. You know the drill. Everybody do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. You can also click that bell icon so you get a notification every time a video drops. Sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. That link is below. You can support the show on Patreon. That link is below as well. And, of course, go sub to Corin's World. All right, I love you guys, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Peace out.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.